This explainer is based on the works of Professor Vihar Kiskinov. Now, we all tend to think of the law as, well, a set of rules, right? But have you ever really stopped and asked yourself how it actually works? I mean, what's the hidden machinery that takes a written law and translates it into real-world action? That's the fundamental question we're going to explore together.
So, here's our roadmap. We're going to trace how our understanding of law has evolved, moving through 5 key stages. We'll start with the simplest ideas and build our way up to the incredibly complex challenges the law faces in our digital age.
All right, let's start at the very beginning. The first, and honestly the most intuitive way to think about law, is as a direct command from some kind of sovereign power. And for centuries, this was pretty much the main idea, summed up perfectly by Roman jurists like Modestinos. The law's job is to command, forbid, permit, and punish. It's a very direct relationship, right? A law says don't do that, and if you do, the state punishes you. It's simple, it's clear, but as you can probably guess, it's not the whole story.
As our societies got more complex, especially during the Industrial Revolution, thinkers started to realize that the simple command model just wasn't enough. You had jurists like Gehring, who began to ask, well, how does law actually shape our motivations? Then sociologists came along and widened the lens even further, studying law's deep psychological and social ripples. And eventually, you get to thinkers like Kelsen, who started to see law not as just a pile of separate rules, but as an interconnected, dynamic system. The whole focus was shifting from what law is to what law does.
So that leads us to the next big leap in thinking. Scholars weren't just curious about the effects of law anymore. They wanted to pop open the hood, so to speak, and really understand its internal engine. They started to think about law as a kind of machine. And in the 20th century, this engine got a name, thanks to theorists like S.S. Alexiev. They called it the mechanism of legal regulation. What's so powerful about this idea is that it's not just about rules. It's about a whole system of instruments. You've got the norms, the legal relationships, individual court orders, all working together to organize society.
And this mechanism was seen as operating in 3 pretty clear stages. First, a rule gets made. Simple enough. Second, that rule isn't just words on paper. It actually creates specific rights and duties for people. And third, this is the payoff, people go out and use those rights and fulfill those duties. This is how an abstract idea gets turned into concrete action. You can see the flow, right? From rule to right to reality. It's a very linear, predictable process.
But let's push this idea even further. That machine metaphor, it's useful, for sure. But a new, even more sophisticated view started to take shape. One that saw law less like a static machine and more like a living, breathing, adaptive system. And this gets us to a really crucial question. Does that machine analogy really capture everything? I mean, does law just act on society from the outside like a tool? Or is it an integral, evolving part of society itself? And this is where a concept called autopoiesis, brought into legal theory by Niklas Luhmann, gives us this profound new insight. It's a fascinating word from biology that literally means self-creating. And when you apply it to law, it suggests the legal system isn't just a tool that society builds. No, it suggests the legal system actively produces and maintains its own logic, its own components, and its own boundaries. So let's compare these two views. The old mechanism view sees law as this linear tool that acts on society. But the newer systems view sees law as an adaptive part of society, constantly interacting with its environment, evolving and regenerating itself from the inside out. It's not just a box of separate parts, it's a fully integrated whole.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds pretty abstract, right? A little philosophical. But believe me, this intellectual journey has incredibly practical consequences for a challenge that defines our world today.
Think about this for a second. For its entire history, every single legal theory we've talked about, from Roman commands to systems theory, was built on one fundamental assumption, that law operates in the physical, material world. But that's just not exclusively true anymore, is it? The information age has created a second, parallel universe for all of us to live in, the virtual world. And in this world, property, actions, even our very identities can be purely digital. For the law, well, this changes everything. See, to govern this new virtual world, we can't just slap on a few new laws about the internet. We need something much more fundamental. We need a new juridical model. Think of it like this. An architect needs a different blueprint to build a skyscraper than they do to build a house. In the same way, we need a whole new legal blueprint.
one designed specifically for the unique properties of the virtual world. A model that helps us figure out how basic concepts like property and contracts can even exist in a world made of pure information.
And that brings us to our final destination, and really, the practical payoff of this whole journey. We have to apply these advanced ideas to consciously design the law of the future. Building a solid juridical model for the virtual world isn't just some academic exercise. For researchers, it's a whole new paradigm for legal science. For education, it's how we train lawyers for the real challenges of the information age. For lawmakers, it means smarter ways to draft laws that actually work online. And down the road, it could be the foundation for a whole legal code for our digital lives. Professor Kiskinov's work really brings us full circle. We're asking the same fundamental questions as those early theorists, but now in a completely new reality. How do we build the legal mechanisms? What does that chain of legal action even look like when it's made of code and data instead of paper and people? So our journey from simple commands to self-creating systems has led us right here. It shows us that to write new rules for this new virtual world, we first have to deeply understand the fundamental system of law itself. The great challenge of our time isn't just about making laws for technology, it's about consciously designing the very machinery of law for the new reality we all live in. The only question is, how will we choose to build it?